Hey guys, this is P.M.R.Bonez88, and today for this month is the beginning of the Hallo-Vember. That's what Darshan wanted me to do.
Well, yeah, of course. That's what I really wanted you to do. Is Hallo-Vember.
Yeah, and he knows about the remake of Chucky, and he's very disappointed, aren't you?
Yeah, that stupid remake. I just hate the fact now they have to remake it. After what I just said to them, that they were gonna remake it and just keep on going with the sequels. Well, now if you excuse me, Bones, I'm gonna go and just do my own thing and you do your own. God damn these remakes. I hate them.
Well, without further ado, now it's time to rank all 7 Chucky movies, so let's begin, and it's time to play. Number 7, Seed of Chucky. Yes, this is quite beyond the worst Chucky movie, and probably the 5th installment. At that point on, it was becoming a comedy horror slasher film, but which it felt like it was a spoof movie that only was Chucky in it, and along with Tiffany, now that's played by Jennifer Tilly, who also plays as herself and does the voice of Tiffany. So personally, I don't know why, but when I was young, when I was a youngster, I always thought, hey, this movie is so funny. I watched it like all day, like watching the Seed of Chucky every damn time. And why? I kept asking myself, why? Why did I thought this was my most favorite 5th movie of all time? I wasn't either high nor drunk. But nowadays, I just realized that Seed of Chucky was so funny and so redundantly stupid. I just thought to myself, this was practically like my least favorite film. And even so, with that, now that Chucky and Tiffany have a kid that's named Glenn or Glenda, but his real name is actually what you call is Shitface. And to be honest, Seed of Chucky is definitely the laugh-out horror film only to that point when you're drunk.
I can't think of a thing to say. Fuck it.
Number 6, The Bride of Chucky. Now this fourth film was actually directed by Ronnie Yu, and he directed before Freddy vs. Jason. But at this point on, that this fourth film was actually pretty good, decent, but still, it was up to the point getting up to the comedy way. So this was practically a dark comedy horror slasher film, and even with Brad Dourif returning to other voice as Chucky, and star with Jennifer Tilly. It even has other guest stars as well, such as John Ritter and Katherine Heigl. And to be honest with you guys, this was actually my first Chucky movie that I saw it on TV. I didn't really see it in theaters. My parents wouldn't let me take me to see Bride of Chucky because, according to them, it would have given me nightmares. Why did I listen to them? Why? I would not get scared. Nobody's afraid of Chucky. Who in this world is afraid of him? Honestly, folks. Out of all, Bride of Chucky is good to watch, but it has some couple of darker, ridiculous puns that Chucky ever made. Also my least favorite, once again. And practically, it's just like it's almost a underdog film. But it has some good storyline, unlike with the Seed of Chucky, because I forgot to mention that it had a floppy storyline, once again, for Seed of Chucky. But for Bride of Chucky, storyline was very good, and the elements of using of Bride of Frankenstein or all these other Universal monsters, they had some good elements to it. Now, before I go even further, most likely I had some problems to rank every single Chucky movies, even with the Child's Play trilogy. So if you don't agree with my list, just please do me a favor, folks. Don't hate me, don't judge me. It's my rankings. let me do the rankings, and it's kind of my own decision to make. I'm just playing with you folks. Number 5, The Cult of Chucky. 7th installment that only went straight to Blu-ray and DVD. It didn't really go into theaters. I always wish that it would have gone straight to theaters, not straight to like DVD or Blu-ray. But personally, I think they were afraid that the box office would have been bad for them, because ever since for Seed of Chucky, it would have been a total flop. So that's the reason why it was straight to Blu-ray and DVD. So it kind of makes sense, but still, it looked like a theatrical movie. It deserved to be in theaters. So more likely, it starts out with Alex Vincent returning to play as Andy Barkley, and Fiona Dorff, which is Brad Dourif's daughter, playing as Nika from the Curse of Chucky. She returned, and now this time she's in a psych ward and Chucky's going after her. And however, for this 7th one, and possibly the last, it actually has a good storyline, but somehow there are some scenes that are kind of confusing, or it doesn't really make any sense, or how this becomes so damn funny. It was supposed to be scary, not be funny again. But practically, I think it was good to watch and good to see Brad Dourif voicing as Chucky. And speaking of Chucky, the doll, I felt it wasn't the same, and how the creators made him, he looked too cartoony-ish. More, I think they should have made this as a cartoon movie instead. And however, now that when they said the title was called Cult of Chucky, I think there was going to be more than just one Chucky. Even so, now we have the melted hand Chucky, one-arm Chucky, and it was all dirt. And the other Chucky, well, the other one got a haircut by Andy. But however, there are some good cameos there, including with Jennifer Tilly returning as well. That was another thing too. Would I recommend you guys see Cult of Chucky? I say yeah, because this Chucky one takes the cake. Okay, it doesn't really take the cake, but you know what I mean.
And they call me sick?
Number 4, Child's Play 3. Now this was one of my favorite out of the Chucky movies, but however, that Child's Play 3 started to become a little bit of a letdown. And actually that ever since that Alex Vincent did not want to return to reprise his role as Andy Barkley, now they had to replace another actor that was Justin Whalton, that he was the preteen young adult Andy Barkley. And now that he's going to a military school, and now Chucky's going after Andy once again so he could reclaim his new body. Child's Play 3, I would have to be honest, this was actually supposed to be my 3rd favorite, but actually it was pushed down to number 4. So that's the other reason why it's now up to number 4. Originally it was going to be number 3, guys, but I pushed it down back to number 4. But it has some good elements, and Brad Dourif once again does a magnificent job voicing as Chucky. And actually, with all the kills, they were very violent. Chucky was even more darker as usual. And personally, the visual effects were very amazing. I'll give them that some credits. And even with the music score, it was even more scarier. It probably like gives you goosebumps and the chills.
Man, I really gotta get out of this body.
Number 3, Curse of Chucky. So that was the reason why it's up to number 3, because now this one was my 3rd favorite. And this time they brought the elements back to what it was supposed to be. Start from scratch. Make Chucky darker and serious and not too funny anymore. This time, Chucky is very scary and serious this time. Letting out, getting rid of all these ridiculous puns. He uses some puns, but not all the time. But this time, this whole new Chucky is so different. Even so that it was originally supposed to go to straight in theaters, but some odd reason it just decided to go straight to DVD and Blu-ray. And I thought to myself, why? It should be in theaters. This was a good Chucky movie. It should be at least in theaters. I don't know why they did that. Maybe Universal Studio must have been afraid, or one of the studios or directors might have been scared that this Chucky would have been very terrible than the last one. Who knows? But what kind of bothered me was about the face, Chucky's face. He looks so weird and not really the same. I mean, honestly, in the Call of Chucky, at least they fixed it a bit. But when it comes to that face of Chucky, it was, wait a sec, why is his face so weird and odd? That's what I felt. I felt that this Chucky doll was kind of off. But then after at the end, when his face was peeling, it was kind of a much more of a disguise. Because now he had his real face, he still had the scars all over his face. So I guess now that was the reason why he was wearing was what you call a plastic mask, making it look like a perfect good guy doll. But at that point out, I think this Chucky movie is my third favorite. Hen was very darker and scarier, and Chucky was even more scarier and putting the kills into demolition. Number 2, the 1988's classic Child's Play. The first one ever, and was also introduced to Chucky back in the late 80s. But more likely, I think the Child's Play series started to go in the 90s, and then the first one was in the 80s just for 1 year, and that was it. So more likely, I think this first Child's Play movie was a good movie, had a good storyline, but somehow it's actually my second favorite. But also it starred Alec Vincent, was also introduced and playing as Andy Barkley, Catherine Hicks playing as Andy's mother, Mrs. Barkley, and Chris Anderton playing as the lieutenant, and lastly, Brad Dourif playing as none other than Chucky.
What do you think?
My first favorite ever, and I just really want to say that I love this movie. Even when it was my second favorite, it wasn't really my first favorite because out of the all, it wasn't really that scary at time, but still it has some good darker elements and showing that sometimes dolls can come to life and really scare the shit out of you. Number 1, Child's Play 2. One of my favorites and actually one of the best sequels out of the Child's Play franchises. I think actually this was a great sequel to the Chucky movies, and even so with Brad Dourif returning, he does a great job, a great storyline, and we see much more of him doing all the kills and trying to get Andy's body. And even so, it was also Universal's first time ever to do a sequel to after the first Child's Play film. I reviewed this before and probably the other Child's Play movies as well, except for Seed, not just yet. I'll be doing that soon. But apparently part 2 had a great storyline, great characters, and Chucky trying to do all these great kills and doing the voodoo, which it does backfire. So apparently he is stuck and trapped in this doll body. So I think that's how they wanted to see that how Chucky can just stay in that doll body for as long as he can till he tries to get a new body. So Child's Play 2 is my most favorite, and even so I think he's gonna be stuck in that doll body forever.
I hate kids.
So did you agree with my ranking? How do you rank your Chucky movies? Let me know in the comments down below. And if you liked and enjoyed this video, don't forget to subscribe to my channel, and you'll be looking forward for more videos. And this is P.M.R.Bonez88 signing off, and saying is, peace!
Close your eyes and count to 7.